Trip planning is one of the most important parts of your trip. It's so important that Edmund Hillary, one of the first people to summit Everest, said, "Good planning means living the experience in advance." It's also so important that plan ahead and prepare is the first principle of leave no trace. I'm going to show you all of my tools that I use to plan out a trip. A lot of them have both a mobile and a web version. I'm going to show mostly the web version because I find it easier doing research on my laptop. I've also grouped them into three categories: reconnaissance, route planning, and weather. So let's dive right into that first tool. The first and maybe most valuable tool I use is Google. I always start my research with just a simple Google search. Sometimes you know the trail name, the park name, or maybe just the town that you're visiting. Start there and just begin narrowing down your scope. I like to search for things like 10 best hikes in Great Smoky Mountains National Park, or best hiking trails near Asheville. You'll find information from the land managers, blogs, Reddit, and YouTube. I also use Google Maps and Google Images to do a little bit more reconnaissance. I like to use Google Images to preview landmarks and potential campsites. And I usually use Google Maps to check out parking and road conditions. Sometimes trails can be at the end of some sketchy seasonal roads. Next up is AllTrails. Yeah, I know there's a bunch of AllTrails haters out there, and I personally don't use it for navigation, but I do use it as an initial source of research. It's a great place to discover new trails and see what people are saying about those trails. But do take that information with a grain of salt and always back it up with information from the land managers or park managers that you found in the Google search in the previous step. Once I've narrowed down the trail, I usually pivot to other resources. Another app and website similar to AllTrails is called the Hiking Project. It's another crowdsourced resource where you can discover new trails and see what people are saying about those trails. But it comes with all the same caveats as AllTrails. I wouldn't use it as my single source of information. Always back that information up. They group their trails slightly different than AllTrails, and the good thing about the Hiking Project, it's 100% free. And just a side note, if you're finding value in this video, I'd really appreciate it if you click that like button. It really does help this video and my channel grow. I can't tell you how many new trails I've discovered by following a couple hiking related groups on Facebook. All you need to do is search your location or the destination of where you're going, and chances are pretty good that there's a Facebook hiking group for that area. Do the same thing as Google. Search for the best trails, or if you're brave, ask a question to the group, and I'm sure you're going to get more answers than you know what to do with. You can also find some great places using Instagram, but instead of stalking a person, you're going to stalk a place. You'll see all of the cool landmarks, and you'll see which ones are the most popular because you'll keep seeing the same picture over and over. And this will give you a good idea of where you can use your other reconnaissance tools to do a deeper dive and discover more information about that area. Once you have your location narrowed down, now it's time to start planning your routes, and I use two tools. One is Gaia GPS and the other one's called Caltopo. Each one of them has their strengths, and I use them pretty interchangeably, so it's worth learning how to use both of them. Gaia GPS is probably my go-to mapping app just because it is the easiest to actually create the routes. Their snapping interface is easy to use and easy to fix mistakes and modify any routes after the fact. Gaia GPS will give you basic information like miles and elevation. Like AllTrails, it has some crowdsourced information, so you can discover other users' public routes and even see pictures. Another one of Gaia GPS's strengths is its base map library. They give you a bunch of free base maps like the NPS Visitor for national parks, the USFS for national forest, and a great digitized version of the USGS topo maps. They also have some great layers in the paid version like the Nat Geo maps, ski reports, and the snow depth layer. All of these can be printed to PDF for high resolution printouts. The paid version will also allow you to have offline maps in the app. Caltopo has a bunch of different features to create custom maps. You can create routes and waypoints, but I find the user interface for Gaia GPS just to be a little more user-friendly. Like Gaia, it has some different base maps and has some handy overlays like cell coverage that's not part of the free version of Gaia GPS. I also find it easier to share maps with other people using Caltopo. There are two features I really like in Caltopo. The first is the terrain statistics screen. It gives you a great preview of the types of land cover and slope. This really helps you understand if you're going to be shaded by trees on a hot day or very exposed on a windy, cold day. It also shows you the slope, which helps you judge the difficulty of the trail. And finally, like Gaia GPS, Caltopo allows you to print your map to a PDF. However, these PDFs are extra special. They are what are called geo-referenced or geospatial PDFs. They have a lot of GPS information cooked into the file. And what that allows you to do is import it into a tool like Avenza Maps. So now you have a custom offline map. And they really make it easy to do this by putting the QR code right on the map. After the route is planned, now it's time to obsess about the weather. And my go-to app for weather is AccuWeather. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of comments about which weather app is the best, and let me know which one you use. But in my experience, I find AccuWeather to be, well, the most accurate in my area. I also really like the amount of information the daily and hourly forecasts give, like real feel, wind, rain and snow probability, cloud cover, sunrise, sunset, and moonrise, moonset information. Another one of my go-to weather sites is SpotWX, and this is a really cool tool. It allows you to just click any point on the map, and it'll give you several different models for that particular point using different time resolutions. The great thing about SpotWX is that it shows all of the data, not just the condensed form you get with the normal weather apps. You can click each model and see the data displayed in the graph. Each has some slightly different graphs. It's really fun to play with, but it also gives you great information to help you understand the weather conditions at the different times that you're going to be on the trail. I'm going to lump the next two sites together. If you're traveling in a mountainous area, checking mountain forecast or mountain point forecast can literally be a lifesaver. I usually start with mountain forecast. Just enter the mountain peak you're climbing or one that is nearby. And it gives you loads of data about the weather at elevation like winds, precipitation, and temperature. I also like how they give you a graph of temperatures at different elevations. This is handy not only for the summit hike, but if you're camping near the mountain. Mountain Forecast also gives you local weather information as a comparison. Mountain Point Forecast is a great resource if you're hiking or climbing in the Northeast. You can click on the mountain and get a text forecast, or you can click on the hourly link or the enhanced forecast button at the bottom to get time graphs that look kind of like SpotWX, but this is from the mountain at elevation. It's a good idea to look at multiple sources for your weather forecasts. And it's also a good idea to keep looking at that weather forecast leading up to your trip, and definitely the day of your trip and probably before you lose service going into a wilderness area. Weather can change very quickly, especially in the mountains. And finally, I'd like to know how much snow is on the trail when I'm hiking in the winter. This helps me plan my pace as well as what kind of gear I need to take. Do I need snowshoes or microspikes? And there's two sites that I use for snow depth forecasts. The first is the National Snow Analysis. It has drop downs for your region, and then you can click into each of the maps to get more information. I also look at the Northeast River Forecast Center. Both of these sites are run by NOAA, and some of the maps are the same, but the Northeast River Forecast Center has this daily snowfall map which shows the inches of snowfall. It also has the forecasted snowfall. And if you're hiking in spring or during a winter warm-up, it shows the ice thickness and the modeled snowmelt. Those are my top tools for planning out a trip. I'd love to hear what your suggestions are. Drop them in the comments. And let me know if you'd like to see a video on a full trip plan using these tools. Or better yet, give me a suggestion on a location or a trail. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure to click that like button. And if you want to see other gear reviews, how-tos, and outdoor adventures, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel. That's it for now. I'll see you guys outside.